going to make some shoes for the American Farriers Convention 2021. This is for the Mustad Specialty Forging. What we're going to make is a hind cross-firing shoe. This shoe, trailer, jar cork, diagonal toe, safing and concave on the inside heel. The nail holes should be oval. Haven't had time to make my punches ready yet, but these should be oval nail holes. They should fit a Mustad 5 combo. So, how do we set up for this shoe? Because it's a little bit of a funny toe bend. So if we go down here, so what I've done, I've traced a St. Croix crossover and I've drawn my trailer. Now what I've done is I'm going to put 2 marks on it and I'm going to put my toe into this shoe. So this is now going to give me an idea of what my toe bend needs to look like. So what we can see, there, there, there. So that's our toe bend. Okay, and if we can make that toe bend, then it's very easy to make the shoe. But it's using something to get our eye right. So a balanced toe is going to be like this. It's going to have diagonal toe, but the toe quarters to the heel are going to be fairly symmetrical. So I've localized the heat into this corner and I put in a really tight bend to start. I'm going to straighten these back out. I'm going to put it over the edge of the end. I'll push it that way. And I'm really focusing on keeping that mark in the corner so I have consistency each time I make the shoe. So that mark staying in the corner, if I've got to push it back one way or the other way. I haven't bent it quite to right angles yet. And now I've got to form this corner by hockey sticking it and creating a corner. I'm going to form the corner a little bit more, as sharp as I can. Give it a little bit of hockey stick. Forge it into a corner. We can narrow the toe up a little bit. Not too much yet. I'll push that corner back down. Keeping it centered as possible. So we've got our corner formed. And I put a strong center mark in this time. As I've made a couple, I'll put less center mark in. So I take my Delta Challenger, put it on, and I can see there's the angle of the outside branch. There's the toe bend. So you can see we're already getting our angles correct. Now we've got to get this next bend. So I'm going to put a mark 1.5 inches on the outside edge so I know where to make my next bend. I've localized the heat again in the corner so I don't bend that. I'll clean up the toe. And now over the heel, I'm going to bend the next bend. A little bit of a hockey stick, straighten it back out. So now what I've got to do is I've got to forge my toe down a little bit narrower. I can do that over this heel corner and draw my branch out. Just to check my angles, I take my shoe and I can see we're getting the right angles. We just got to stretch the toe a little, stretch the inside branch. All right, now it's a case of forge out a little. Forge the branch. I'm going to forge the heel on a little bit. Give it a good flatten. We're going to take one more heat. We're going to finish forging the toe. Draw the inside branch the last little bit. Put some safing on the outside from the quarters to the heel. On the inside edge, some concave, and we'll finish forging the heel. Safe the outside. Strong safing right from the quarters. Same on the inside, knock the corner up. Forge the heel a little bit more. We'll finish it with a raspo. Do a little flatten. Clean up the toe. So now what I need is a series of measurements. These will help me adjust my shoe through my practice process. So I've measured from the outside corner to the heel, that's 5 1/4. I've measured from the outside corner to the outside corner. We've got about 3 inches. And then from the outside corner to the heel, and we got 4 3/4. So by recording these measurements, we can finish the shoe. If we're a little bit too big or a little bit too small in an area, we can adjust it. But keeping record is good. So what you want to do is laminate some pictures, and you can keep changing the measurements on it with a dry board marker. So the next thing I do, I do the heel a little bit like I do a Scotch heel. I check it, go in about 1/3 of the way. Now I can draw out my trailer. I keep the thickness. I'll taper the toe quarter a little bit up to the quarters. Give it a little flatten. Don't flatten the heel. Clean up the corners. I like to clean up the corners. A really nice finish on it. Now, I've got my heel. Half the length of my trailer, I'm going to put on the edge of the anvil. I'm going to fold it over into a heel cork. So I'm going to basically roll it over, a rolling process. I left the extra thickness there because that's where I'm going to get the length for my trailer. I rolled it over, pull it forward, stretch the trailer out a little bit, flatten the trailer, work my heel cork, work it down, lift it. Don't forget the front edge. Look at the angle of the trailer, working the whole heel check. Clean up the outside edge. Flatten it out. See, that's why we left the extra thickness, to give us the ability to set it down a little without losing the thickness in front of the heel cork. The better we finish this, the less rasping we'll have at the end. So again, we write the measurement down. We're right at 6 inches to the end of the heel cork from the corner. So I've cooled my heel out so I can use that to help bend the shoe. So I'll start my quarters, bend my quarters, and I can hit my heel because it's cold. Give it a nice forging, get it nice and flat. Now I'll hem it. Up the horn, on the horn, and past the horn, so I enhance the shape. I'm going to give it just a little bit more. Use my fuller. I'm using a thin fuller so I can go deep, but I can still make the nail size. I got my mark taken nicely. And for me, fullering's a process. I do the same thing every time. So I'll get this down now to about halfway. You can see the nice clean lines I'm getting coming. I'm never in a rush. It's the cleanness that's important. Now I've got it halfway. I'll work the outside edge. I'll go back over the outside edge. Make sure I don't leave any hammer marks. I'll do the garniture, that back corner. Then I always flatten the hoof side first. And it's not how hard you hit it, it's the overlap of the blows. We're not trying to squash our material, we're trying to flatten the surface and get it really shiny. Right up to the heel cork. And now we'll flatten the ground surface, get that really flat. So yeah, and you can look at the shoe. I haven't done any wire brushing yet. Because I'm using my Firewell and I'm keeping my anvil clean, I've got a nice clean finish. So we'll have one more heat, not too hot, to finish the outside and the nail holes. Get the first part set. Okay, nice and clean. Now we'll stamp it. Again, for me, stamping's a process. I've stamped it. I'll just give it a little level. And at this point, I can see little dots where my coarseness is. So if I need to pitch it more or less, I can. I stamp just to the anvil a second time, but not into the anvil. I don't want to damage my punches. And then we're going to pritchel. And I'll give it a level. I'm just at 6 inches, so next time I need to gain another 1/8. But what we'll do this time, we'll just give it a little bit more of a forging. Stretch out my heel just a little bit. And there we are. We'll be there. Right around 6 inches. So next time I'm going to just draw it a little bit more before I go on. So we can see when we look down at it, we've got our shape coming. Now we've got to bend the inside branch. Again, I've localized the heat to the corner. I'll bend my quarters. This needs a little bit of a flatten. Bring it all back together. Mark my holes. I use a 2-stamp process, a starter and a finisher. I don't have a oval stamp yet. It's a bit early before the competition, so I'll set one up as I go. But there, get my starter in. Work my edges. Give it a good flatten. Flatten the ground side. Finishing stamp. Clean up my nail holes last time. Just trying to get the picture in my mind of where we're at. Yeah, we're going right. You can see it cut across the toe. We got the inside branch. So the next steps will be to make our jar cork and braze our jar cork on. What we need now is a piece of material to make the jar cork. So we'll just set down about 5/8 of an inch and forge it out to a thin, shallow heel cork. We'll need a little bit of copper. I'm going to cut that down so we don't have as much, so we don't cover our shoe in copper, but I'll cut that down. and we need borax. So we've got to prepare our jar cork, and then we've got to braze our jar cork onto the shoe. Take about 5/8. I'm just going to forge it down, forge it down. Get it really clean. You don't really want to have to rasp your jar cork up much. Make sure they're flat and crisp. I'll just cut it. There you are. Just put a little mark in it. I'll cool it off. And now it should break off fairly easily. And this is where you lose it. Okay, no, I didn't. So there's our jar cork, and it'll just stand up really nicely. So we've got our jar cork right now. If you've got any ragged ends, it's a good idea just to give them a rasp up. So what's important now is to preheat our shoe. Put our jar cork on, put the jar cork on the shoe, a little bit of copper next to it, and some borax. Put it back in the fire carefully and just let it come up to temperature. Once the copper melts, bring it out, put it on the anvil gently, don't knock it over. And once it starts to cool, put your hammer on top of it to suck some heat out of it. Push it into position. There we go, a little bit of copper. That's why it's always best to have a few pieces. Push my jar cork back into position. Okay, now a little bit of borax. Now into the fire. So I'm just watching through the window and I can see the copper now melt. So I'll just bring it out carefully. Put it on, just touch it. Hold it in position. There we are. And we've got our jar cork on. Now we can give it a little wire brush. And jar cork's on, we're ready for rasping. So off to the vise. We've got heat on the outside heel, so we'll rasp up our heel cork. Rasp it down to size. Next time I'd make it just a bit smaller so I don't have so much rasping. And then I'd have a little bit more length of heel trailer. So next time a little bit less turn for the heel cork. And that'll give me the little bit more for the trailer, and I'll get my last little bit of length. Rasp up my branch right round to my jar cork. Give it a good polish. Polish up my jar cork. Polish up the surface of the shoe. Over. Rasp up the back of the shoe. We'll do the inside branch. We'll rasp up the safing. Forge the heel around the inside edge. Clean up the concave inside. Give it a rasp up. Clean all the surfaces. Yeah, we're still about 1/8 short. We're a little bit wide, so I can give it a knock in. Yeah. So now we can clean out our nail holes. These would be for the Mustad 5 City combo. So just check our nail holes and finish our shoe off. Give it a good wire brush up. Check my nail holes. I know the inside won't fit because I haven't got an oval punch yet, so yeah. So There we have our cross-firing shoe for the Mustad Specialty Forging.